April 26th, 1986. 1:23 a.m. Alexander Akimov was in charge of the night shift. As the test entered its final stages, the tension on his face reflected the intensity that had built up in the control room. Akimov frowned as assistant operator Leonid Toptunov reported that energy levels were extremely low. The silence in the control room gave way to panicked commands. Alexander Akimov could not take his eyes off the monitor. The reactor's energy level was dangerously high, but the order was clear. The test was to continue. Leonid Toptunov, the assistant operator, looked at Akimov hesitantly. "The reactor is not responding," he said, his voice shaking. In an instant, the sound of a huge explosion shook the control room. The floor shook, the lights went out, and then the emergency alarms went off. Akimov muttered in disbelief, "This is not possible." Vasily Ignatenko, a young technician in a white protective suit, froze at the sight outside. Reactor number 4 had been completely destroyed. A radioactive cloud rose into the sky, illuminating the night with blue and red lights. But Vasily and his friends did not yet know that this was a mortal danger. "We must put out the fire," shouted a superior officer. Vasily suppressed his fear and ran towards the fire. He felt his skin begin to burn as water from a hose poured over the radioactive debris. His friends were in the same situation, but none of them could stop and think. Their mission came first. The people of Pripyat awoke to a new day. Children played in the streets, people went to work. No one was aware of the radiation from the reactor a few kilometers away. Anna was having breakfast with her 5-year-old son, Ivan. That morning she looked out the window and noticed a strange colour in the sky. It was a shade between yellow and grey, and there was a strange metallic smell in the air. Something must have happened at the power plant, she thought, but a short announcement on the radio reassured her. The situation is under control. But the reality was different. The level of radiation coming from the plant was hundreds of times higher than the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. Toward the evening of that day, Anna began to have headaches. Ivan was weak and didn't want to play. When neighbours said their children had similar symptoms, it became clear that something was wrong in the city. In the hours that followed, soldiers and civil defence teams appeared in the streets. Orders were given to evacuate the houses. Anna and Ivan were herded onto buses with only a few belongings. As Ivan slept in his mother's arms, Anna's eyes filled with tears. She felt they would never see their home and life again. Within days, clouds of radiation spread across Europe. Pripyat became a ghost town. Vasily and other first responders soon died of radiation poisoning. Children and adults struggled with health problems for years. Years later, Anna told Ivan, "Chernobyl showed us what was wrong. When human error, arrogance and negligence combine, nature does not forgive." Reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Pripyat, Ukraine, went out of control during a scheduled safety test. Shortly thereafter, the sound of an explosion ripped through the dark Pripyat night. Rising clouds of radiation sparked a catastrophe that affected not only the Soviet Union, but the entire world. Let us first look at the consequences of the Chernobyl disaster, loss of life and health effects. 31 people died during and immediately after the explosion. But the real devastation unfolded over the years. Radiation caused hundreds of thousands of people to develop cancer and genetic diseases. The rate of thyroid cancer increased dramatically in the affected areas, especially among children. Environmental destruction. Thousands of square kilometres around the reactor were rendered uninhabitable by radiation. This area, known as the ghost zone, was left for nature to repair. However, many animal and plant species underwent genetic mutations. Economic losses. The Soviet Union was crushed by the economic burden of the disaster. Resettlement, cleanup, and medical expenses cost hundreds of billions of dollars. These costs dealt a severe blow to the Soviet economy and set the stage for the country's collapse. The impact of the disaster was not limited to Ukraine, or the Soviet Union. International dimension. Radiation spread to many European countries. Agricultural land, water resources, and livestock were affected. In some areas, agriculture could not be practiced for years due to radiation levels. Global awareness. Chernobyl created a global fear and distrust of nuclear power. Many countries suspended or abandoned nuclear power projects. Social impact. The disaster shook public confidence in the state in the Soviet Union. The negligence of the administration and the attempt to cover up the incident caused great disappointment among the people. Now to the real question: could such a disaster have been avoided? Answer: yes. If the right steps had been taken, Chernobyl might not have become a tragedy. Safety protocols. Serious flaws in the reactor design were a major cause of the accident. A reactor design that met modern safety standards could have largely prevented the accident. Training and awareness. The personnel in the control room at the time of the accident were not adequately trained. They hesitated to make critical decisions and took the wrong actions. Better training and preparation could have prevented such mistakes. Transparency and oversight. The Soviet government was not transparent enough in its inspection of nuclear facilities. Stronger inspections and international cooperation could have reduced risks, preventing political pressure. Before the accident, there was too much political pressure on engineers. Safety protocols were neglected, and the test was conducted in unnecessary haste. Had this pressure been removed, engineers could have made more careful decisions. Dear viewers, the Chernobyl disaster has taught us a very important lesson. No matter how advanced technology is, human error and negligence can turn it into an uncontrollable force. The biggest lesson we should learn from this event is that safety, transparency, and responsibility must always be the priority. Let us not forget that Chernobyl is not just a disaster, it is a warning that humanity must learn from its mistakes. If we take the right steps, such a tragedy may never happen again. Can you share your ideas with me in the comments? För mig